What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of JLD Reactions. Today I'm going to be ranking Season 1 of Doctor Who from my least favorite episode to my favorite episode. Before we get started, guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Okay, guys, coming in at number 11, we have Father's Day. Now, I know that this episode is a fan favorite. I didn't realize it was a fan favorite when I watched it. My main problem with this episode, the paradox issues aside, is really that I just felt that it just felt a little bit too contrived. It didn't feel organic. I felt like the episode started with Rose being mopey, and I get why she was sad, because she wanted to visit her father, but it's just kind of her being one-note mopey throughout the whole episode. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but it just didn't feel organic to me. Usually a story starts where there's some type of contrast from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode. I didn't really feel that contrast. Rose did make a lot of mistakes, and I can put that aside because I get it. It was about her father. But it just kind of was all in vain because the father, regardless of what happened, he was going to have to die anyway. So there was no chance of him living because otherwise the time creatures that were eating people, they would have just gotten to them anyway. So it really all would have been in vain. Okay, guys, coming in at number 10, we have The Long Game. Now, this episode wasn't really that bad. It had a lot of stuff that actually kind of worked. I actually didn't mind Adam doing the brain surgery to get his intelligence enhanced and his knowledge enhanced. That didn't really bother me. I actually thought that was kind of cool. Also, I liked the message that they were trying to convey, that the media brainwashes the general public. I thought the idea was good, but for some reason, I just had a hard time really getting into the episode. And the penis monster at the end just didn't quite work for me. But overall, I remember I enjoyed the episode. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't great. Okay, guys, coming in at number 9, we have The Empty Child / The Doctor Dances. Now, this episode's a huge fan favorite. I don't think it's a horrible episode, but I just wasn't creeped out by the little kid. I didn't find him very intriguing. I didn't find the antagonist intriguing. I thought that the ending was a bit too power of lovey-dovey type ending because, yeah, I get that the text was that Nancy finally acknowledges her son and the nanogenes recognize her DNA and that's what fixes the issue. But the subtext of the episode essentially was the monster of the week, the nanogenes, whatever, was defeated by the power of love. And I just thought that was a little bit too kumbaya for my taste. But I see why other people would like it. Also, I just didn't really care for Nancy that much. I found her to be really entitled. And I get that she had been through a lot by this point. But for some reason, she just seemed very unlikable to me. But the good thing about this episode that we got Captain Jack, who's one of my favorite characters in the whole show. So overall, just for me, just an average episode. Coming in at number 8, we have Aliens of London and World War III. Now, I understand that these episodes are not fan favorites. Actually, I think these are probably, for a lot of people, some of the worst episodes in the series because of mainly the goofy factor and the fart factor. And yes, it was definitely a very goofy episode, but nevertheless, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the adventure of it. I think it knew what it was. It wasn't something that was... It knew it was goofy, and it wasn't trying to be serious. In that sense, it worked, because they accomplished what they set out to do. Now, with that being said, with Doctor Who, especially since I'm on Season 2, I much prefer the serious tone of Doctor Who. But I also appreciate these goofy episodes. Now, the end might have been a little bit too goofy with Mickey saving the day and the missile. The missile did not work for me at all because I just know that they would have not survived that regardless of whether they were in a bomb shelter or not. Coming in at number 7, we have Boomtown. Now, I actually really like this episode, but I know a lot of people don't like this episode. And I think that's because they were coming off the high of The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, 2 episodes I really wasn't crazy about. So when you're coming off a high and you get to Boomtown, it's like, oh, this is slow, this is boring, this is... But to me, since I didn't have that high, I just saw the episode for what it was. I thought the woman who played the Slitheen, I thought she was a great actress. I loved the conversation and interaction between the Doctor and the Slitheen. I also thought the moral dilemma of sending her back to her home planet to be killed I thought that made an interesting topic, a great philosophical topic. Personally, I thought she should have gone back and died. I loved discovering that the TARDIS had a soul. I loved that she turned into an egg at the end and she got a fresh start. Mickey and Rose's conversations, and Mickey finally, kind of in a weird way, standing up for himself, but still at the same time being so addicted to Rose that even though he stands up for himself, he still chases after her like a little puppy dog. It's much better than people actually think it is. Hey guys, coming in at number 6, we have Bad Wolf. Now, this is another controversial episode because I've seen that a lot of people hate this episode, and I've seen that a lot of people love this episode. Personally, I really like this episode. I thought the Big Brother Weakest Link parody was... I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting because when I was younger, I always wanted to be on reality television. That was like one of my dreams. Not anymore. I wouldn't want to be on reality TV now, but it used to be. So to me, the references were just hilarious. And also, I just enjoyed meeting all the new characters that they introduced. Like the blonde girl with the 2 pigtails that the doctor saved from the Big Brother house. The cranky black guy who was playing with Rose in The Weakest Link. Just a whole bunch of characters and the build up to the episode that would come after it. Overall, I just thought it was a good episode. And I get why it didn't work for a lot of other people because the parody, the satire of the reality TV shows might be kind of stupid to a lot of people, and I get that. Okay, guys, coming into number 5, we have The Unquiet Dead. Now, I have to admit, when I first started this episode, I was like, oh, this is going to be boring and drab, and I'm not going to like it. But once everything started to get going with the zombies and everything, I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sidekick. I enjoyed, really, the moral dilemma of this episode, as well as, is it okay for beings to inhabit dead corpses? Corpses, that's redundant, but corpses. And you know, the Doctor and Rose both have a point, but ultimately I would probably side with the Doctor, even though he ended up being wrong. But, you know, if it's just bodies, why can't beings inhabit those bodies if they really need them? Because if it's just a body, you're technically not really hurting anybody. But I also understand how Rose found it disturbing that our past loved ones could be up and walking around. Their bodies could be up and walking around, and there's another being inside of it. So that would be extremely disturbing. I also really, really like that the Gelf turned out to be evil, because that was a nice little twist. And it showed that the Doctor is not always right like he thinks he is. And the guy who played Dickens, I thought he was really funny. I loved his character. I thought he did a really good job. And I usually hate historical depictions of people in TV shows like Star Trek. Ugh. Ugh. Like in Star Trek. But the guy who played Dickens, he put it off very well. So overall, just a great, fun little episode. Okay, guys, coming into number 4, we have Rose. Now, I really enjoyed this episode because I had never really seen Doctor Who before that. Of course, you know, I'd already seen a few episodes of Classical Who, but I didn't remember anything. But I thought this pilot served as a really good introductory episode. It really set the tone for the season and what we could expect to be getting from the season. It introduced the characters well. We got to know Mickey. We got to go Jackie. And we also got to see the instant chemistry between the Doctor and Rose. They had pretty much instant chemistry. And Rose pretty much instantly became obsessed with him. Now, is it an amazing, memorable episode? No. But I think it did what it wanted to do. Okay, guys, coming to number 3, we have The End of the Earth. Now, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was a very powerful second episode. I really wish that a lot of the episodes probably would have followed suit, because when they're in space or in futuristic situations, I think that's when the show really is at its best. And it was really cool. You know, I'm a Star Trek fan, but it was really cool seeing all these different characters. We got to meet Cassandra, whom I love, one of my favorite characters, great actress who plays her, a big piece of skin that's evil. And we also got to meet the Big Head, and we also got to meet the Wood Tree Lady that was playing as the love interest of the Doctor in that episode, but she ended up dying, which actually shocked me because I was not expecting anybody to die. I didn't expect so many deaths in this show at that point. Also, it was really cool to get a little bit more insight into the Doctor and where he comes from, and that his people were destroyed. When the Wood Lady told the Doctor I know your people, I'm sorry what happened to your people, and Christopher Eccleston almost starts crying, or he does start crying. I really felt that moment. I thought that was a very beautiful moment, and it really, in that instant, that little moment, I felt like I knew the entire history of Doctor Who. Even though I didn't. But it gave me a good insight into the Doctor Who universe. So in that way, this episode probably set up the show better than the first episode. Coming in at number 2, guys, we have The Parting of Ways. Now, I really, really thought this was a really cool episode. They actually shocked me because I thought it was going to be a whole complete episode about them trying to save Rose, but they didn't do that. Right off the bat, they save Rose, and it's Satellite 5, everyone on Satellite 5, versus the Dalek. And I was shocked that pretty much everybody died. I did love the character development of the episode. It was cool to see Jackie and Mickey finally come over to Rose's side and help the Doctor. Billie Piper shocked and amazed me in this episode with her acting at the scene with Jackie and Mickey eating chicken. And she's like, I can't just sit here and eat chips while the Doctor's out there fighting in the universe. I can't do it. Okay, that was a really dramatic read of her performance. But I thought that was really good. Loved it. That's when I first started to see Billie Piper as like, oh wow, she's got some acting chops. And also, I really loved the ending when she melds with the TARDIS and she becomes the Phoenix. I mean, they didn't technically use the term Phoenix, but I just like the color of the Phoenix. She and the TARDIS save the day, and they like break down the Daleks at the molecular level, and all of this stuff happens. It was just a really, really cool episode. Had a little bit of badassery in it, which I really like. I like a little badassery in my TV shows. Captain Jack died. He came back to life. And they left him, so we don't really know what's going to happen with Captain Jack. I still don't know what's going to happen with him at this point. I mean, I know he's in Torchwood, which I've already started. But I still don't know how he got back to planet Earth. But, okay, coming in at number 1, we have, last but not least, Dalek. I think most people would agree with me that Dalek is definitely one of the top 2 episodes. I think most people put The Empty Child of Dr. Dances at number 1, but I think Dalek is a way better episode. I think the pacing's better. I think the intensity of it was better because they're stuck in a military base with this can that's indestructible. They were no match for the Dalek, and the Doctor knew it. That's why the Doctor wanted to destroy him. Speaking of that, it was really cool and actually a little bit bone-chilling to see the Doctor have so much hate in his heart for the Dalek. Like, it kind of scared me a little bit. I feel like, damn, Doctor, whoa, he really hates them. Which is understandable because I would hate them as well. And I kind of took his side. I felt like they should have definitely killed the Dalek. Even though they did pose another moral dilemma. This show does that a lot. They pose another moral dilemma of, should the Dalek be destroyed? I mean, is the Dalek capable of redemption? He tricked Rose into thinking he had some remorse, and by the end, killed himself. But personally, I think once you've done so much damage, if you've killed like 10, 20 people, I think you can have redemption and remorse, but I still want you to die for some reason. I didn't even really know who the Dalek were before this episode, but by the end of the episode, I felt like, oh wow, these are going to be some great antagonists that we're going to have in the future. Okay, guys, I know you guys are going to disagree with a lot of my rankings, so please just put your disagreements in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.